Om Namah Shivaya.
Guruji, so for the first time, uh, in the history, I see where you have guided on a term where the Heisenberg principle and the certainty of capital. And this is the question that worries everyone, every investor, small or large, pension fund, hedge fund, family offices, good money, bad money. Certainty of capital, how does it connect? What is the Heisenberg principle? How can it allow us to be precise? And because everything is volatile everywhere.
Beautifully asked question, Gauravji. So let us first understand what did Heisenberg actually say. Heisenberg stated, quantum theory will not look ridiculous to people who have read Vedanta. Quantum theory will look very, very familiar. And this is from the time when people were finding very difficult to understand quantum theory. Even Einstein was not comfortable with quantum theory. Einstein actually, very few people know, invested a lot of time to disprove quantum theory. His famous quotation, God doesn't play dice with the world. So Heisenberg, when he had to challenge people like Einstein, imagine you are standing up to Einstein in that time, 1920s, 1910, 1930, 1940, and you have to stand your ground on quantum theory. At that time, Heisenberg said, quantum theory will not look ridiculous to people who have read Vedanta. And further to it, Schrödinger wrote in his book, Min Weltanschauung, this life of yours, which you are living, is not merely a piece of this entire existence. That is, आप जो ये जीवन जी रहे हो ना, ये ब्रह्मांड का अंश मात्र ही नहीं है, but in a certain sense the whole. हर अणु में, हर परमाणु में ब्रह्मांड है. This is the very fundamental teaching of our Upanishad. Every atom contains the universe in itself. हर अणु में ब्रह्मांड है, हर कंकर में शंकर है. What does this mean? You have the entire universe in every atom because they are made up of the same essence, same consciousness. That is what Schrödinger says. This life of yours which you are living is not merely a piece of this entire existence, but in a certain sense, the whole. Only this whole is not so constituted that it can be surveyed in one single glance. That is, sometimes the whole of the existence that you embody is so profound that even you at a glance cannot understand what you yourself are constituted of. That needs dhyana. That needs adhyatma. And that is what Hinduism and Hindutva is all about. As Bohr realized, as Heisenberg realized, as Schrödinger realized, that Hinduism is the ever-evolving transcendental science of eternal consciousness. That is what Schrödinger writes. This life of yours, which you are living, is not merely a piece of this entire existence, but in a certain sense, the whole existence itself. हर अणु में ब्रह्मांड है, हर कंकर शंकर है. Only this whole is not so constituted that it can be surveyed in one single glance. This, as we know, is what Vedanta expresses in its profound equation of Arthashastra. As I explained to all of you, that one of the seminal equation of Arthashastra is Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukbhag bhavet. Similarly, Vedanta gives us the next equation of Arthashastra. Tat tvam asi. Tat tvam asi. This is you. O divinity, O infinity. This that embodies itself as this matter, as this body, is you, the infinite, eternal, divine, cosmic consciousness. Tat Tvam Asi. And if we have to understand this in even more depth, let us go to Mundaka Upanishad. Mundaka Upanishad says, Brahme Vedam Amritam Purastat Brahma Paschat Brahma Dakshin Tashtottaren Adhash Chodharvam Cha Prasritim Brahme Vedam Vishwamidam Varishtam. I am in the east and the west. I am above and below. I am this entire world. I am in the east and the west. I am above and below. I am this entire world. Tat Tvam Asi. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dutbhag Bhave. Further, Schrödinger, while speaking of a universe in which particles are represented by wave equations, the famous Schrödinger wave equation. We are going to display the Schrödinger wave equation for you on the screen. He said, please understand, very important, while explaining his seminal work, Schrödinger wave equation, Schrödinger, in speaking of a universe in which particles are represented by wave equation, said the unity and continuity of Vedanta are reflected in the continuity and unity of wave mechanics. Please understand from where wave mechanics has come. From where do you think Bohr, Schrödinger, Heisenberg got their wave mechanics? They got it from Vedanta. They got it from Hindutva. They got it from Tat Tvam Asi. They got it from Mundaka Upanishad. They got it from Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. Then Schrödinger says, while explaining the context of universe where particles are represented by wave functions, the unity and continuity of Vedanta are reflected in the unity and continuity of wave mechanics. This is entirely consistent with the Vedanta concept of all in one. The multiplicity is only apparent. That is, the discrete matter is only apparent to your senses, but at the root of it all, everything is connected. That's the reason you abuse a single river in Africa and Europe suffers. This is the doctrine of Upanishad, and not of the Upanishads alone. The mystical experience of the union with God regularly leads to this view. Hence, God realization, self-actualization, and oneness of all is the foundation of Arthashastra. So, Adarniya Gauravji, now that you have understood the Schrödinger and the Heisenberg theory of wave mechanics, multiplicity, and how it is derived from Vedanta, Upanishad, how it forms the bedrock of Arthashastra, the answer to your question is, to achieve optimum state of I-finance and geofinance, one should apply economics holistically. And from a layman perspective, since you are in the domain of investment banking, the parameter that you should consider while investing is how closely aligned is a corporation, is a company, is an entity to the holistic concept of Arthashastra. The more it is closely aligned to the Tatva that I just explained, higher is its probability of success in the long term. So that is the guiding principle. Om Namah Shivaya.